Oh, the comments are already coming in. The guests are getting set up, and everyone's wondering, where's Raj? Yeah, well, we'll answer that question and more in about 20 seconds. All right, waiting for our guest to get in here. And yes, we're definitely missing some Raj tonight as well. He's got prior engagement, some other stuff going on, so hopefully he'll be able to join us at some time because it's a great show tonight. Randy from A Damn Beast will be joining us shortly to talk a little. Oh well, sorry. Your comments are already so what's up, Randy? What's up, Herb and Raj? Just Herb tonight. Sorry to disappoint everybody. The talent that's not here tonight. So Randy will take the show over and I will probably go out and get a drink or something when that happens. So good evening to Cat, Roll Tide, Air Raid Attack, yes, Mike, always Boomer Sooner. Always support your team, man. Anytime you got a chance to support your team, you say it, and that's fine. Except if you start talking about Georgia got hosed. So you can talk that to Randy. Immediately, you've lost all support from me. Sorry, bud. Still love you. But and it was interesting this week. Like Mike is in the majority. I got plenty of messages and people want to talk about who got upset, and there's very few congratulations. So it just kind of helps fuel the whole Bama versus the world sort of thing. So I've learned to embrace it. It used to hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of a sensitive guy, so it used to kind of hurt a little bit. Now I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is. If people don't like Bama, they don't like Bama. There's nothing I can do about it. So getting a Roll Tide from Lady Alpha, Ohio State fan. I know they've had several transfers starting, but my thought on that was, man, Bama loses like 20 every year, man. If you're one of the better programs recruiting and transfers in will help you do it. So I think you'll be good. I don't know if she's totally on our side yet because she was very adamant about the Florida State thing. So she's kind of on our side, but not really. So we still love her all the same, though. So evening, Mr. U. His show was on live this past Monday morning, ADO. Always does a great time. His team, Michigan, #1 seed, took care of business all season and up against Alabama. And Mr. U has already guaranteed victory. So still he said, wish you were playing. I love you too, man. You are, like I said, a great support on the air and off the air as well. So it's always been really good. And I mean, it's going to be tough for sure playing against you. So you got the anti-Texas and the Texas shouldn't have made it. Texas rode out the win against Alabama to the very end. And that's basically what it is. And honestly, the Texas win against Alabama is what sunk Georgia because after Alabama beat them, they were like, well, now we put ourselves in a position where it has to go Texas, Alabama, Georgia, even if there's no way that that's what you would actually think at this point of the season, what those, how that would play out. I feel like Georgia is superior to Texas in almost every way and would dominate that game. So, and I believe the committee thinks that too. Dropping them from 1 to 6 was just kind of ridiculous. So I did not guarantee for I know, but we got to talk a little something, It's interesting. Out of the show, the person who did guarantee victory was the Washington person. He said the finals will be Michigan and Washington, and so he's the one that guaranteed. So shout out to Football Talk with Bo. I love those guys, but I had to take some shots Monday morning. So Bama beat out there, yes. Roll Tide. This I'll definitely be hitting you up. By the way, you got to come and do a year-end review. But yes, that one was sweet. So we needed to. We definitely needed to get that one. So one of the few games, like obviously I get nervous before every game, but that was one of those, like it was suggested, I can admit this now, it was suggested that we do a live stream for the game. And I was like, do I want to do our first ever live stream on a game that we could like potentially lose? That would suck. So I mean, would it have bad if I'd done the first live stream ever for us on the Chattanooga game? Like, who would even watch? But I think that's definitely in the cards for next year. Bama, Texas for the Natty. I mean, yeah, and that goes along with I think Kat just said hoping for a rematch to end revenge season. We definitely would want to play them again and get our revenge and end any narratives that have going on with them. But you can't, and I don't feel like this team. I guess one thing about having a team that you know is not a great team is they don't overlook anybody because we can't afford to overlook anybody. So Michigan will have their full respect. And I've already seen the post out there. A guy was like, "Oh, let's shock the world." So that's the same thing Georgia posted, but you guys are favored. Like you can't shock the world if you're the favorite. So it just doesn't, just go out and play the game. So I agree with this. It should have never been 4 and it should have never been 2. I don't understand how that's even a thing to start off. Like you have 5 power conferences, up until this year, of course. So it seems like 6 or 8 would have been your number to start. Otherwise, at 4, you're basically telling one of those people that your regular season doesn't matter. So, and there we go. Shock the world. Shock the world is a favorite. I wish that. It's like telling us we shocked the world against Chattanooga. So, yep. I don't know who Mike was supporting because he took shots at everybody already today. Mike better be lucky I love him because he's been firing all over the place this morning. So, but I know he doesn't like Texas, so I guess that'd be the only person he would have tried to kick out of everything. So, I feel like I missed one in there somewhere. I said some of my favorite people are Bama fans, not mine. Get those Bama people. Nah, just joking. I like people on both sides. Of course, I support anybody. Bama versus Washington. So that would be the one. Just being honest, obviously I want Bama to win, but I wouldn't want Texas to win just because I've just never been a Texas fan. So if there was a team that I had to play that I could like root for if we weren't playing them, Washington would be that. But like I said, the Washington guy's already talking trash to me. So, and we're not even playing him, and he's talking trash to me. So like now I'm all conflicted. I don't know what to do. So, I don't know which one wasn't nice, but a lot of these people aren't nice. You just got to be careful. You got to stay off Twitter sometimes too, because everybody likes to take little shots. Everyone takes all this thing personal. I had people that didn't have a dog in this fight were fired up about it. I'm thinking, you're not even there. How does the number one team become this underdog? That's what my point was. You're not the underdog. So it's like every time I see posts that say, I saw a Michigan fan post that this morning. Let's shock the world. I'm like, you're the number one seed and the favorite. Like, there's no way to shock the world. You're favorite to win the game. Don't even know how that's a thing. So and there we go again. I want Texas again. I want Michigan first, but secretly, yeah, everybody wants Texas. So sweetheart, me. I don't think I said anything mean. I mean, I'm thinking a lot of mean stuff, but so it's funny because Raj and I use the same Twitter, and everyone always assumes everything is me. Usually, all the diplomatic and nice stuff is me, and the stuff like, "Hey, Florida State's going to get beat by Georgia by 4 touchdowns," that's Raj. And people think it's me, but I'm the nice guy. I wear glasses. You can't be mean and wear glasses. Like it just doesn't happen. So, he said if I had to support a team, it's Bama and have the defending national champ come to Norman next year. Yep. So, which I will be there for sure. Live podcast from there, and then going to the game. So that's Lady Alpha gonna get if Mr. U is still out there, he gonna get on to you. So by the way, I got to text Mr. U. I might take him in and just text him now. Tell him I got to get him on the show. We already have a Washington and Texas preview coming up for you on the 26th. So Mr. U, you're about to get a text, but any of the Tuesdays in between, if you want to come on and talk Bama, Michigan, you are certainly welcome. I've been on the road all day today, running around for jobs. So I haven't followed up yet, and I'm behind from this weekend. So I went out to see the kiddos this weekend. Hope everybody saw the pictures and stuff like that. So when Michigan beats Bama, I have to fly down and give you a hug. I doubt that's going to happen because you've declared that Raj is your favorite. So I figure like you'll be flying in your plane and then divert over, which if you're coming down, divert this way to Texas and end up there and go, oh, where's Herb? And give Raj the hug. So, but if the consolation prize for Alabama losing is finally getting to meet Nahoda, then I will take that. So that's fine. So Bama College will get to play America's team. I know the whole thing is flipped on its head. Like Michigan went through the whole season in scandal, and we come out as the most hated team in America, which we probably started the year as the most hated team. Georgia somehow won 2 years in a row and was going for a third, and people still hated Alabama. It's like, because I didn't always follow college football, I didn't really realize what I was getting into when we moved to Tuscaloosa. And then all of a sudden we're in Tuscaloosa, and I'm like, this is crazy. And now especially what you get on Twitter or X or Twitter's X, I don't know, you realize people hate Bama. This is how funny it is. If Bama hadn't got into the playoff, no SEC team would have gotten into the playoff. And the rest of the SEC would rather forfeit that money rather than have Alabama in the playoff. They're like, give back the 10, 50, whatever the millions are. We'd rather do that than have Alabama in the playoff. That's hilarious to me. So, but that just says, can't wait to be a Norman next season. Oh yeah, it's going to be fun. If you guys show me a good enough time, I don't have to come back here. I could do this show from anywhere. So just saying. Why are you like this? And then her response, oh, I don't even know what to tell y'all on that one. So, I hope you guys get that worked out. It's always funny whenever the comment section gets really, really crazy because there's a lot of side conversations happen. I've seen fights in the side conversations where even the two people didn't even know each other. It was over Cleveland and Baltimore of all things. So I was like, one of you guys from Bama, so I know you don't even really care that much about Baltimore. So that one was interesting. And then I don't know if I should post that last one. I mean, she can read it anyway. You're both on YouTube. I don't hate Bama. I think they're pretty cool. Thank you. I don't hate Michigan. There's only a couple. If I had to do my hated list of teams, I generally don't like the Big Ten, I guess, but there's like no hate there. It's just, it's kind of whatever. My hated list would probably be, not probably, Auburn and Tennessee, for sure. If we're sticking to just football, there's probably not that many teams. Ohio State kind of won my respect when Fields came out there and was talking, even though he was hurt, didn't use that as an excuse. So I'm fine with him. I'll be honest, the whole Michigan scandal didn't make me feel one way or another. I was like, so they're stealing signs? Like, I thought you could do that anyway. So, I figured everybody was doing that. It's kind of like Nick Saban said, if they really want to combat that, why don't they go to, the helmets or whatever. So I don't like Texas. So that might be my number 3, especially after this year. I didn't like them before, but now I really don't like them. So I don't even know if there is a 4 and 5. Those would be it. If I had to not watch a team win, Auburn and Tennessee would be like 1 and 2. If they got rid of both those teams, I'd probably be fine with my life. So no Pac-12 teams that I dislike. I wasn't a big USC fan. Does that count? Not really a big USC fan. So obviously I don't like Clemson, but I didn't care about Clemson until they beat us, and then I started. So the catchphrase bowl, Bet versus Bama and Link. I'm down with that. Yeah, I'm gonna skip Mr. Hughes. Well, he said I'm kidding. So you're all these things, including Spiteful. So, but I'm just kidding. I don't let sports take me there. I wish you well. So this is an interesting one. I was gonna wait on this point. So if Randy does still get on here, I want to approach that one there. So it's on my list. So I'm gonna hold my comments on that. But I guess my first comment is this. Having the transfer portal open up in the time before the bowls has helped to invalidate the bowls even more. It is crazy. First off, they spent the whole first week. If your coach left, you're going to get out, which I understand that, but it still sucks. But having kids at like 4, 5, 6 a.m. getting up and clicking the button that puts them in the portal is crazy to me. And it's like you still want the public to care about these bowls, but you're making it clear that it's not important to the kids, like, at all. So, sorry, let's see what's going on. Nope, restart. So, yeah, I'm not going to put the part of the joke, excuse you. And that's the interesting part. It's like for every, to me, success story you see, there's got to be like 5 that don't make it, but we just don't talk about it, But we've had several high profile just in the past couple of years, leave. And I don't want to mention names because of stuff, but I don't. I sometimes look at Mac Jones, who sat behind all the starters, got his 1 year, won a national title, was third in the Heisman voting. And then I don't know what happened to him after that. I've totally forgotten anything that's happened to Mac Jones after he left Alabama. And if anyone tries to remind me, I will say I don't know what you're talking about. But he did wait his turn and play. So, but then you also, on this flip side, I guess you have a Justin Fields who goes and plays for a national title after leaving Georgia. So, and I'm glad I'm mentioning this before Randy gets here because he might hate me for that example. So, but just the fact that we're getting up to the thousands in the transfer portal, and I guess it's when you're talking about 18 and 19-year-olds, there's going to be a lot of bad decisions made. But that is a crazy number. You saying every bad decision you made at 18, and then like you take DJ Uiagalelei, who's leaving. He had a great year at Oregon State. Now his, I guess I do kind of get because his team doesn't have a conference next year. But at the same time, it's like this is where you revitalize your career, and now you're leaving. And these guys who go 1 year and leave, I'm just thinking like, what are you looking for? And I guess what Miami just had a tight end that we almost had, and he flipped to Miami, and now it's like you could have been a starter. You left to go somewhere else, and now what are you looking for? And is the recruiting still the same? Did you go there to get that 1 year NIL deal and then move on? Like it is crazy, And if I'm a teammate of that guy, and we still have a bowl, and they leave before it. Me personally, looking from the outside, because obviously I don't play any of this stuff. I don't know any of this stuff. But to me, I would definitely feel a little betrayed, a little hurt. Now, obviously, I'm a super loyal guy. That's why I've stayed in my job well past the years when I should have. And I hope this isn't the night my boss decided to click on and listen, but he won't. It's just weird. You're alongside these guys all year. And I get why they do it now. They're trying to get ahead of the early signing period and before teams make their decisions. But this period of time right now should be for everybody getting healthy, preparing for a bowl, getting in that one last game of the year, getting in those last practices. And now it's like, I know I was with you guys all year, but I just don't care that much. So I'm out. And that's just, it hurts the sport. And I had a segue into this is, Deion Sanders gets a lot of flack for all his transfers in, which, by the way, somebody needs to go look at the numbers that BYU brought in this year, and I think they're not far behind, just without all the fanfare. But that's what's going to start happening more. If coaches need to revitalize a team and they're not getting the seasons, like look what happened to the guy from Mississippi State. You got less than a year. So what's going to happen is the coaches are going to aggressively start using the portal more because, it's free agency at this point. Look how many people are out there. It's crazy. So that's what's going to end up happening on both sides. You're going to see more of that from the coaches. And, can the kids really be mad at that if somebody tells them, hey, you're not wanted here? Because you tell them when don't want to be there. So it's on both sides. So let's keep moving on. Bowl season in the state. It really isn't because you don't know who's playing anymore, who's motivated anymore. It's like if you're a freshman or a sophomore, yeah, you're clearly playing in that. But any junior, they're out of there. Anybody who wants to transfer, they're out of there. It used to be like these bowls, like you said, were your last chance to show everybody what you got. Now it's just like, who cares anymore? So, and then they keep trying to add bowls, like the Pop-Tarts bowls coming in this year. They're grabbing teams that are under 500 to fill spots, which, by the way, thank you. Shout out to James Madison. There's one other team at Jack State that were part of this stupid NCAA rule where if you move up, you can't move up in division. You can't be in a bowl for like the first 2-3 years. I don't know who made that. James Madison now gets to go to bowl, so congratulations to them. Happy for them. Thank you for them. So, and also thank y'all for the comments because otherwise it would just be me over here sipping on a drink and praying that I could come up with enough stuff to say. So I love you all. Thank you. Agreements for you. It's stupid. You can leave whenever. Make these bowl games less entertaining. Yeah. Oh, you for example 9 already leaving. Yep. Gabriel, I was surprised at. And it's always seemed like he's they said he's already linked to Oregon, which always makes me think because, like, come on, man, you made the decision and you're going in that fast. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So, oh, by the way, I'll save Kat to the end, but Kat, you're welcome, and we appreciate you looking in. So, do have a guest to bring in. Where's my thing? Okay, so this is the man who, when Georgia's offense changed this year, he was the one who made all the offensive tweaks and helped him to get in. He was named Mr. Georgia 3 years in a row, but turned it down each time because he's very, very modest. Yep. And so he can throw farther. He can throw a football 60 yards. He can dunk a basketball flat-footed, and he can hit a home run with one arm all at the same time. Randy, with the dramatic entrance. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, but I gotta say, the stuff that we were chatting about in the green room.
Cannot hear Randy.
Oh.
I don't think Randy can hear me. Yeah, he's giving me the one finger.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Not the bad one finger, I hope so.
No. Huh.
And now I think he might be frozen on me.
No.
I'm going to give you another comment while we're waiting. So it's all about money now. These kids are using college sports. This episode is. It is, but I think for a long time, for the top part of them, it was always about using a stepping stone to get in the pros. Now what you have, I think, is more of the middle level who's never going to make it to the pros are also making money. So I think that's what's happened. That's why it's expanded. That's why the transfer portal's expanded. So, Randy, are you with me?
I hear you.
You can hear me, but I cannot hear you, Randy. Let me get about stupid. Oh yeah, we already said that one. Sorry.
Testing.
Randy, I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second, sir. Randy.
Yes, sir.
You there? Yes, sir. That was all on my end, man. That was all on my end. Yes.
Okay,
we are good. So everybody probably heard you talking, except me going, I couldn't hear you talking. So that was probably see what happens, man. This is one of those nights, man. So I apologize for that.
That's what I was going to get to. But we were ready to rock and roll like 10 minutes prior to showtime.
Yes.
And we were talking about Gremlins, and I'll tell you what, they heard us say the words and things went sideways. So
yes.
But yes. I heard all of your intro. Thank you for lying so graciously to the public. That's beautiful. And I mean, it's a good day. I have been over my head with Christmas decorations for the last 3 or 4 days. It's a big deal around here. One of the other, I mean, more than just the Georgia guy, I do some other stuff, and that stuff is wrapped around like the Christmas holiday season. So we take it seriously around here. And I don't even know, the lights may not be bright enough, but back here you can see there's all sorts of adornments and big, huge bells and garland, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. So there's a wreath right back. Let's see, right there. That's a beautiful wreath. So we've been busy. Yes. That's what I'll say.
I'm with you. I feel it. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us, especially now. Tonight is really you're very welcome. There were different places I wanted to start, but we're right in the middle of the transfer portal, and that was on my list. Obviously, I guess Georgia at this point has had one jump in so far. Alabama,
no. The count now, as of this afternoon, and I could look and verify this, but it's at least like 5 or 6 at this point.
So I don't know if you saw a lot of the comments, but everybody's kind of weighing in. What are your general thoughts, transfer portal wise, and then specifically, I guess, how it's going to affect Georgia this year?
Well, I don't know. I've probably been like, it's probably been a dereliction of my duty as a college football guy, because I haven't honestly sat down and like formed cogent thoughts on the whole thing. Generally speaking, up to this point, my approach has been look, if you want to be here, awesome. If you don't want to be here, awesome. Because I do think that the way coaches have been given freedom to move, right? And so many times you hear the stories of
Mhm.
players that have been left in the lurch. A coach gets them to commit and then they leave. And then, of course, the players couldn't move. Well, now they can move. So, in that regard, I think that's fine. I do think that, within limitations, I mean, you shouldn't be able to transfer like after every season, right?
And that
So,
goes with what Mr. You was saying there with that.
yeah. So like once, maybe twice if you're graduate transfer, right? So once as
Right.
an undergrad and then second as a grad transfer, that's fine. I don't see a problem with that. You make your choices. But um in general, I have that's my general that's my general feeling, right? So
Yeah.
um I haven't really drilled down on it further than that because it gets so muddy. And it gets muddy because of the NIL portion. And again, I do not think that anybody, right, doesn't have the opportunity if someone wants to pay you to represent them. I think that should be a thing that should happen.
Right.
But like of all people, Lane Kiffin said at SEC Media Days, and he's not the only one, when it is being used as pay for play
Yeah.
and there are no limits, then you really do have the wild, wild west out there.
Yeah.
And the downside of that is that so many times these young people do not have the right kind of people around them to help them
Correct.
make financial decisions that could affect them way beyond their playing time in college and their eligibility. So,
Right.
uh, I'm fearful on that side of it. I think that guardrails are necessary, and again, from there, it just gets more and more muddy. So, I like the freedom of movement it provides. I like the benefits that come along with that freedom of movement, and just because this is the way I think about the game, I feel for any head coach that has to deal with all this stuff right now, because especially if you're the head coach at a successful program, not because it dilutes your team or your potential talent pool for your next team, but because if you are a successful program, Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, any of the teams that were in these championship games, right? You go play the game on Saturday, and then like the next day or that Monday, the portal opens, and you literally have no idea who's on your team, who's not there, and signing day is about to happen. The calendar's very screwy when it comes to this kind of stuff, and
And that was
I,
part of
I've
my points, by the way. It
yeah,
happening on December 4th really invalidates the bowls. I
yeah,
know why they're trying to do it for early signing period so these kids can get movement, but you're basically telling people, hey, the bowls don't matter. Go pick your team, you know? And there was one point in there, I guess you're kind of making with that. It doesn't prepare any of these kids, especially the ones that think they're going to get to the NFL. Because guess what? You sign a 3-year contract in the NFL, 4-year contract. You're not 2 years in, not playing. You don't get to go. Like you just have to try and tough it out. So maybe in the
right.
corporate world, you think, if for the guys that don't make it, is that what you're thinking? Also, hey, I'm gonna go to this job, and 6 months in, I'm gonna hate it. And I'm just gonna find another job, and you're gonna be one of those people that jumps from job to job. I don't know, maybe so, but none of this seems like it's preparing you for the next step.
I wound up accidentally in a chat room discussion today. I posed a question about a current recruit that has been committed. NIL was admittedly a portion of why that person made the decision they made originally. And now they're considering making a flip. Like, this is huge news. And the people who are pursuing this guy are big in the NIL side of things. And I just simply asked the question, is this ultimately about the NIL portion for this player?
Right.
I'm not bashing the player. That is the landscape of college football today. If that's the point that you're using to make your choice, fine. And the only reason I asked the question in the first place was because that's not what the player was saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the player is saying one thing, but every move that he's made that we are, as in the public, aware of, has been driven by the NIL portion. If that's what it is, fine. Just say that's what it is. Don't say it's not, and then do the things you're doing. Ultimately, to me, it doesn't matter. Everybody has the same opportunities from a college perspective to get as involved in the NIL game as they want to. And every fan of every team has the option to contribute to that school's NIL fund to support that effort. So I'm not, bemoaning the NIL part at all. I just don't think it's very genuine, to say one thing and do something else. But then again, these are young people, and I'm not just talking about football players. I'm talking about top level gymnasts. I'm talking about top level tennis players or baseball players or whatever it is. They're learning. Maybe they're still learning that whole do what you say thing. So again, it's very, very muddy from my perspective. At the end of the day, that's why I am very comfortable with my position as a fan, which is and has always been a person who grew up a fan of the University of Georgia, who chose to go to the University of Georgia, who graduated from the University of Georgia. I cheer for the Power G. So it doesn't matter who's on the team, whether or not I'm going to like the team or support them or whatever. I'm red and black forever and ever. And that's for me. The younger fans that I see talk about it, it doesn't seem to be that way, right? They don't have that same sort of buy-in and feel. And I mean, I can't say anything to that other than to recognize it's not the same for them as it is for me, so they will jump on social media and say anything and everything about a player and or their parents and or anything else. And they feel like there are no repercussions in today's world. If say that player's mother or father happens to see your stuff and shows it to their child, now as a fan, this player that you covet sees that at the drop of a hat, you're just gonna, just trash them, because you think you can, then I don't know, man. It's all very messy from where I'm sitting.
It is. No, I 100% agree. And the worse it gets, I mean, you mentioned Lane Kiffin. What was it? Matt Rule said the same thing about it takes $1 to $2 million just to get at the table now with a quarterback.
For a quarterback. He was talking about a quarterback. Yeah.
Yep. And it's almost got a mercenary feel to it, like you said. It's like you're not checking out your situation that you're getting into more. You're checking out your NIL money. And maybe that serves you in the short run. But in the long run, is it preparing you for anything? You're not checking out a coaching staff. You're not checking out the playing environment. You're just thinking about that and going forward. And it's like I said in one of my comments earlier, I think what the NIL has done is we've gone from maybe your top players maybe getting paid under the table or having a good situation, whatever, and going to now even kind of like your mid-level players are making good money with NILs, and they'll transfer to get it and just ride out college for as long as possible. It's no longer necessarily just about your NFL development. It's just about how much money can I make in a short amount of time. And,
well, sure.
And it's not going to serve you well. No. I mean, it's not going to serve you well in the long run is how I feel about it.
Sure. And the thing about and again, if a player is not, guaranteed a shot in the NFL, and no player is, but you have a pretty good idea whether or not you think you're going to get drafted. If you don't think, well, let's just put this in the time machine. Okay. Let's go back to 1997, which was my senior year. 96, 97. Kirby Smart and Champ Bailey were playing in the secondary for the University of Georgia. Champ Bailey was going to be a first-round draft pick. Kirby Smart got cut from the Indianapolis Colts after like 3 days at tryout camp, right? Kirby in college was an all-SEC player, team captain. He could have benefited from NIL money and done very well to buy himself some time post-graduation, right? To find a job, get a career, whatever. Champ would have been, paid well in the NIL world. And then he also knew he was going to the NFL. Those are two very different circumstances, and if you're Kirby in 1997 and you can do that, by all means, do what you think you need to do with an eye to the future, right? And being a business major, maybe he would have done that. If you have a player today who is a good player in college, do the best you can while you're in school, make relationships and build ties so that once you don't get drafted, right? Once you don't make it,
Right.
then you have somewhere to turn and take your degree and say, listen, I'm a UGA grad. You're a UGA fan. We did this, NIL when I was in school. Hook me up with an inside gig to an internship or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
just have some sort of perspective on
Yeah.
it is all I'm saying.
I agree. Let me catch up real quick on a couple of these because I don't want people to feel like I don't love them. I kept posting some ones about the transfer portal. This is one that kind of goes along what we say about the bowl games, with so many people leaving already, including the starting quarterback. So I don't feel like in the long term, especially the bigger programs, have to worry about transferring people, people transferring out, because I think your recruiting class and your transfers in will make up for it. But in the short term, it does. So, and this is a positive comment. Life-size Pop-Tart you can take a bite of. That was when I was commenting about how they keep adding bowl games. So
Well, I mean, the whole bowl game thing is. I'm a fan of the bowl games. I've always been a fan of the bowl games. We
yeah,
could sit here and talk for an hour simply about that.
yeah,
One of my big points this week has been the idea of a meaningless bowl game, which I think is completely ludicrous. Simply because, again, if you are a fan of the team, listen to your head coach. Kirby is out there telling you, as a Georgia fan, these games are important, because of the extra 15 practices or whatever it is that they get,
exactly.
plus all of the mid-year enrollees that are going to play.
Yeah.
In that game Saturday, Georgia had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mid-year enrollees that started, be it on special teams or somewhere else,
Right.
Against Alabama. Those dudes were able to do that because they came in for the bowl practices that Georgia played into January. They got all those reps. It was like an extra spring, and then they rolled into spring practice, got more reps, fall camp, so on and so forth. So that by the end of the year, they're contributing. These games are invaluable. And I
Yeah,
dare any
I agree.
keyboard warrior who wants to sit back and say, these games are trash, I don't care about them, the players don't care, all that stuff. My bottom line position is, A, you're wrong. B, why don't you go say that to the head coach or any of the players? Just go ahead and let them know that you think their effort's meaningless. And then C, and maybe the most impactful, I believe it's absolutely disrespectful to the players, coaches, and more importantly, to the game itself,
Yeah,
to refer to these things that way. That's
1000% agree.
just my perspective. But again, I just think it gets back to this place where we are, where everybody has a microphone and everybody can voice their opinion, and you can feel any way you want, but just understand that other people can read that. And when you view the world the way I view the world, I know who and who not to listen to moving
Right.
forward.
Right. And I would add another one to that list. That was very well said. I love that. I guarantee that those folks that are saying that and are fans of those schools are still watching that bowl game and probably complaining about it somehow. But I know me as a Bama fan, I might be like last year. I was like, oh, this sucks. We're not in the playoff. I was still glued in. To me as a coach, it's one of your last chances to get something with the team. It still goes on your record. And there's a big difference between like 8-5 and like 9-4 at the end of the year. Like that one, or if you can get to 10 wins with the bowl game, that's huge for recruiting and going on your record. And honestly, when guys transfer out, to me as a coach, I don't think I would care. Or when guys sit out, I wouldn't care, because that just gives me one extra look at the people who are going to be there next year. So maybe I'm in the minority on that. I know people are like, oh, I want my stars to play one more game. But like, let's take last year's situation where Bryce played in the bowl game. I commended him for him. But I was like, if we get a look at the quarterbacks for next year, I'm not going to hate that either. So it was kind of like a mixed bag either way. So, but no, to me, the bowl games are great. And I'm going to tune in to as many as possible still. And if they invite me to the Pop-Tarts one, I'll go and take a bite and be there with the winners.
Well, it's like I said, I'm cheering for my team. So it doesn't matter if it's Brock and Ladd and all those dudes playing. I'm going to be like, awesome, I get to watch them. If it's the younger players playing, I'm like, awesome, I get to see what my team's going to be. Like, any way you spin it, I'm going to have a positive way to look at it. And I just, honestly, I think it's sad that people who call themselves fans don't take that perspective, because I think you're robbing yourself of the joy. And one final point about that is, I posted a tweet earlier this week, and I was like, well, the good news for me is that now I don't have to sit here all off season and have all of these, air quote fans tell me about how much they miss college football and they can't wait till it gets back and all that, because I know that that's not how they feel because of
Right.
what they're telling me right now.
Right.
What you want
I
to
agree.
watch is 3 games. That's it. You care about 3 games, and you only care about those 3 games if your team is having a really good year. That's
Right.
it. Those are your parameters for being a college football fan. So personally, I'm thankful and relieved that I know I'm not going to have to listen to them for the next 8 months. I know that they're not going to be out there bold-faced contradicting what they have been saying for the last, whatever it is, 48 hours, 72 hours, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
So notice the heavy sarcasm here.
Oh,
Right?
I'm with you. I'm with
So
you.
anyway,
It's very
that's just
frustrating
me.
out there sometimes.
That's just it, man. I just get frustrated sometimes.
I feel you. We'll get through this real quick. I don't know how Gabriel has any eligibility left. I don't know either. It feels like that guy's been around forever. But Bo Nix went to 6 years and might win, has a chance at a Heisman. So go for it, Gabriel.
Penix is in year 6. Did you happen to see what Stetson did today? Stetson had some jokes today. Oh yeah. He posted a thing, or someone else posted the thing that's like Bo Nix is 6 years, Penix is 6 years, Marvin Harrison Jr. was 3 years, and Jaden Daniels is 5 years. And Stetson, had a little response to the ESPN post, and it was like a GIF or something, like a surprised GIF. He's like, what? Because the thing about Stetson is everybody's giving him a hard time because he was a 6th year senior or whatever it was. And, of course, this year you look across college football and there are 5, 6, 7 year seniors playing all across the country.
The COVID year did give you one, but that is still a lot. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not saying it's not. I just think last year it was Georgia took a lot of incoming, right? And now this year you look around and nobody.
And it's everybody.
Yeah.
Well, see, people do pick certain teams. I mean, I'm an Alabama guy. There's certain hits that certain teams are going to take and nobody else is going to take. We both know that. So
true.
But hits. This is one that she's been watching. 11 jump. I feel like at this point Ryan Day is pushing some people out the door in an attempt to save his job. I don't know anything about that. That's not a fact by any means. But when you have that many jump that quick, sometimes it feels like it's also a coach saying, I got to change something.
Listen, I don't know who all those 11 are.
He said that's incredible.
My opinion on my opinion, that's all it is, on McCord is that I think they told him he could stay if he wanted to stay, but they were going to go try to get somebody better. Yeah.
I believe
and
that
so
too.
he's like, I'm out of here. And now the one that did kind of surprise me that I saw was Fleming.
Yeah. And that was a big shock to everybody, I thought. But yeah.
Yeah. The rest of them, I haven't looked, so I don't really know who they, but yeah, Georgia, I did check. Georgia does have 6 currently in the portal.
And like I said, I was riding around a lot today, so I've only checked in for an hour. I haven't seen. I expect our number to jump as soon as, the playoffs are over.
7. Sorry. Georgia's number was 7. I miscounted.
Okay. But like I said, these numbers don't surprise me. We lose about 20 every year to transfers. It just kind of happens.
I think last year Georgia lost 15, and Kirby, in his Orange Bowl opening presser, said he expects to lose somewhere in the same neighborhood, 15. And I don't know if he meant just to the portal or if he meant portal and NFL declarations. I'm not sure.
I know that because I would think that's 15 either way. I think that's 30 for both the way y'all are pumping them in. So we'll get caught up. So yeah, Mr. Hughes, that Michigan to come in Norman. And I don't know if you heard that earlier. We're Raj and I are going to Norman next year for the Alabama-Oklahoma game. So we'll be doing a podcast from there. Yeah, looking forward to that for sure. As long as we win, it'll be fun. 1,000. Like this is just an insane number entering the portal. So. And let me get down to the end because there is a couple other questions I want to walk you. Yeah, Mr. Yu and Mike definitely need to get together. Kenneth Louisville's been to 2 other universities. Yeah, I don't get some of the movement, and you're not getting anywhere by all of it, Welcome to Brian. Brian's a Jags fan. I feel bad for him after last night with Trevor Lawrence going down and the Jags actually having a chance to be the number 1 seed, possibly, or at least for sure winning their division. So thank you, Brian, for still checking in.
That
also an Oklahoma fan.
That portal number, I believe every instance that the window has opened has set a new record for entrance.
Yeah.
And that is insane. Like, it's nuts. Like, I don't understand why you would want to move that much, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean that number, I guess the grass is always greener, right? But there's just not enough places for these players to go.
Right.
I mean, nobody's taking you. These coaches
Yeah.
are still out here recruiting and
Right.
the same way they always have. So, but on the other side of that, Coach Kirby did say that if you do not embrace the portal, right? And remember, his perspective is they want to build through traditional recruiting. That's the plan.
Right.
But if you don't embrace it, you can't field the team
Right.
in an instance of a short turnaround like we're in right now. Like Ohio State loses their starting quarterback. If you don't, I mean, you can play your backup right here, right? But if you don't have a freshman you're planning on starting in the fall, or you don't go get a guy, then you're in a fix when it comes time to line up and actually play. So that is just simply the reality of it right now.
Yeah. So some of these I'm gonna have to get to, definitely at the end, because there is a couple other things I wanted to get to, but I do agree. Yep, and thanks Rex for checking in. Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't think it'll ever happen, but that would be interesting. And then Brian, appreciate the congratulations. I did, Randy. I know we've been kind of talking and going through there, but I did because we consider you a friend of the program, both on the air and off the air. You've always been very supportive. But I did want to give you at the very start a chance. I know there's a little frustration, but to vent any other frustration that you had after Saturday and then maybe even Sunday morning.
Well, first off, my number one frustration right now is I can't tell whether or not my cough button's working. So if I'm coughing and you're hearing me, then I apologize, and I am very disappointed and frustrated with that. So could you hear my sickness?
I heard your cough. We didn't think you're sick, man. We thought you're prime of health.
I got a bug. But yeah, I don't know why my cough button's not working. So sorry about that, everybody. I will do it manually in the future. So frustrations. I mean, I don't have any. Like, you go and you play the game, and when they tallied it all up at the end, Georgia didn't win on Saturday. And I posted a tweet about this. They didn't win because they didn't play well enough to win. It's just that simple. So I can't say all the stuff I said earlier about cheering for my team and about the sanctity of the game and respecting the sport and all that stuff if I'm then going to turn around and say anything other than Georgia didn't play well enough to win, and congratulations to the other team. Now, the game is what it is, so you can take any position you want to take on that, but at the end of the day, that's how I feel about it. And once Georgia finishes their Orange Bowl game, so that'll be before the new year. I think that game's on the 30th. So once that's over, I mean, I'll still be doing all the ADB stuff that I do between now and then after the fact. But once that happens, I move into what I affectionately refer to as it's like Batman season. And what I mean by that is from like January, right? Exactly. So like from January up until like spring practice, because remember, signing day's been moved up, right? So there's no big signing day. So between like January and like spring practice, I'm like sort of mentally taking a break. So I'm like reading Batman comics and watching Batman movies or disaster flicks or whatever it is. So I've got like 3 months there where I sort of decompress. I mean, I'm still doing stuff, but like I'm not like all about it all the time. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any frustrations other than obviously Georgia, you would love for your team to win. Georgia's my team. I would have loved for them to have won. But it didn't go down that way. So it has to play itself out. It did. And now we get to play Florida State in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah. And Kat, this is most of the people that I've met on here, we've tried to seek out people who are not Alabama fans just to get other perspectives. So like so Randy was I didn't forget how we reached out to you or even found you, but all of a sudden it was like, sure, I'll come in. I don't even need a script. Like I'll jump on there and I will make your program or instantly better. And so we
Oh,
appreciate it.
well, I will let you say that. I appreciate it. I was on the Air Raid podcast. Now I'm not sure how
There
he
you go.
found me.
Yes, there you go. Yes.
I'm not sure how he found me, but I think you guys found that or saw
Yes.
that.
You're
And said
100% correct. Yep. I
that's a
was
Georgia
watching that
guy.
show there. So I'm Randy, because I love you, man. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the part that you're not saying. The one of the things that where you can really tell this is flawed and the whole thing is flawed is you can't be the number one team for most of the year. And I'm going to ignore the parts where they said Ohio State was the number one team because that was just, they hadn't. I know you're not supposed to take prior years, but I always give the incoming team the what is it, of the doubt or whatever. Like
Benefit of the
I always
doubt.
benefit. Oh my God, my words are gone. So that's not anything about Ohio State. I just always feel like the year that we became number one, I think, and they took it away from me. I was like, this is stupid because stop taking it away from him. So anyway, I felt like should have been number one all year, right? You lose one game at the very end of the year by 3 points and you drop from 1 to 6. Makes no sense to me. And what the committee tells you is, had you lost your first game of the year by 3 points and then played the way you did the rest of the year, you'd be fine. But you lost the last game, and it's the only game we remember. And the way they kind of looked around, it's like we go eye test sometimes, and then we go by wins, and then we go by strength of schedule, and then we go back to like it's all over the place. And I think everyone would agree Georgia's still one of the 4 best teams in the country. And so the whole system is ridiculous. They're not the 6th. That's doesn't make sense to me either. So
I said that like my takeaways on Twitter. I said that I'm like I feel confident that Georgia's still one of the best 4, right? And someone responded. It was a new person who has now I follow them now, but they just simply asked me the question. They were like, how do they, essentially what you just said, how do you move somebody like that? That's
right.
the part they did.
And here goes. Even the Alabama fans are chiming in for you. So
well, that's the thing. He was like, how do you do that? And I said, what I do is I just save myself all the anxiety and all the stress headaches and work under the presumption that they just make the rules up as they go to suit them. Yeah, period. And that's why the JJ Watt joke from this weekend was so brilliant. And I don't think he was joking, but it was brilliant, where he was like, just call an emergency 16 tournament, put Florida State and Georgia in, and let's just let them do it, and there you go. And it's, on one hand, it's completely like ridiculous. And on the other hand, you're like, what have they done that's ultimately not ridiculous over the last 10 years, right? Correct. The ways they've made their way through it. But again, if it comes back to, if Georgia, if they win, then they don't have to worry about what anybody else does. And Georgia didn't play well enough to win. So
yeah, I still just, one game should not define your whole season. And I'm speaking as an Alabama fan, who's the Texas game defined our whole season. And that's the only argument everyone uses against us. So but ours, to me is not as egregious as what yours was. You lost one game by 3 points to a team who was, playing decent and hot at the time. So I don't know. Rex is right. They do make it up the way they go. So yeah, no brother tonight. He's got some fatherly duties to attend to. So I would say Mike did say, yep, you were on his show. So that's where that came up from. And then Florida State played defensive. Yeah. Look, so as a Bama fan, we've taken a lot of shots the past weekend. I've said this several times. I said it on the show yesterday morning. I have nothing bad to say about Florida State. Like, this isn't going to be some political argument. Somebody asked me, do I think that we deserve to go? I'm going to say yes. I think we're great. We beat the number one team. Am I going to say, did Florida State deserve to not go? I'm going to say, I've got nothing to do with that. I think what Florida State did this year was great. And I feel bad for Travis because now, he's out here posting, I wish I got hurt early in the year. Like, he's going to live with that for the rest of his life. You basically kind of scarred a kid thinking, I let my whole team down. No, you got hurt in a football game. I mean, that's not how their team should be thought of or how their season should be thought of. I'm sorry that we had to benefit from that. But, I mean, it's like I say, hate the system. It's like everybody wants to come after us. I'm not going to apologize for making because everybody wants a shot, So
Yeah, and the 4-team thing, I mean, ultimately, there were 5, right? You could
Now
spin it around
conferences.
in a
Yeah.
blender, but that's why here's the thing. This is not about this year, okay? I think Kirby said something about this, like, since he arrived in Athens, since 17, I think Georgia has finished 5th or 6th, like, 3 times,
Hmm.
just outside for whatever the reason, and, that's a lot, right? I mean, that's a lot of times to sit there and be, feel like a bridesmaid or whatever.
Right.
And um the thing about 6 or 4 rather is that, and you have to help me here. What was the year? Was it 17 or 18 that Alabama didn't even play in the championship game and they're in the tournament, right? What year was that? And then they won the
Oh
thing.
yeah, and then they won the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes. I'm bad with
Well,
my numbers, but yes, I'm with you. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though. Yes.
my point is, as a Georgia fan, Georgia has never been the beneficiary of any of those twists of fate. Georgia has always, when it twisted, wound up 5 or 6. LSU or
You're exactly
Alabama
right, Brian.
seem to catch those,
Right.
twists of fate, and it has never twisted for Georgia. That's
Yeah.
not saying anything about this year. It's merely an observation. That's all.
Yeah. Yep.
That it seems to never break right, like Ohio State last year. Everything had to break right for them to get in. That just doesn't seem to be Georgia's lot. It
Right.
just doesn't seem that's the way it's going to go down. So,
Yeah. Rex, this was my point from the beginning. Like they were basically saying when they went to 4, we're gonna leave out a Power 5. I never understood that because all it did for a long time was, well, if I win my conference and I don't have a chance of going, why am I scheduling harder out of conference when I should just really concentrate on that and not take that loss?
and I'm sure that you guys have heard this weekend since it happened because I didn't remember it, but I'm sure you've heard that
About the
when this,
alliance.
yeah, and the vote and how they opted to not go ahead and start the 12. They wanted to wait and do the 4, one more season or whatever it was. And I'm like, well, your conference did that to you guys, buddy. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys did
Yeah.
it, so
Yeah.
that's why I just don't. I'm not going to be too twisted up about it. If you want to win, or if you want to go win, do your best to
Yeah.
win. And if you
Yeah.
can't win, then it is what it
Yeah.
is.
And this is exactly right. Yep. They were just sitting back there hoping and praying. So yep. Yeah, I don't remember if it was, but maybe so. So yeah. And the AC, like basically they watched that Florida State against Louisville game and they didn't look good in that game, and that's kind of what sunk them. So I'm not saying any of that is right. They played the whole year and they won. Do they deserve to be in a playoff? Absolutely. So I don't think anybody's arguing that fact at all.
To your point about the quarterback, I mean, I hate that he feels that way, but
Yeah.
surely somebody's going to get in his ear and help him straighten that out and understand that that's not the reality of it all. But the fact of the matter is they are not the same team.
Right.
Now, does that wipe out the entire body of work? No, it doesn't. That's why I still think, you should recognize winning. So ultimately, I would have to come down on the side of Florida State getting in to this imaginary tournament, right? But they are not the same team. Now, when we play them, I fully expect that game to be, more entertaining than most, well, I'll say a lot of Georgia fans may. And that's simply because that defense is extremely good. Like they are absolutely playoff caliber
That's what
defensively.
Brian's point exactly. So defensively looked amazing.
As long as their dudes are playing and everything,
Yep.
they should. I mean, that is a top tier looking defense.
Rex is
But if Georgia, has their players, I mean, I'm not saying Rex could be spot on. I'm not. I fully admit they are not the same team, right? They just aren't. And if the kid wants to think of it that way, somebody needs to help him not think of it that way, right? That it's not
Right.
his fault. But again, that whole statement, he's a young man who that sounds like an emotional statement, because I'm
Definitely.
certain that's how he feels. But
Right.
I would hope he doesn't actually believe it,
Right. And I would hope not to, man. It's never on one person's shoulders.
No.
The committee might have tried to use that as a scapegoat, but no, it's man. go be great is all I say. Oh, by the way, this is a comment to something you said earlier. Rex has always been a big fan of Randy. So
Rex, well, thanks, man. I just love having a microphone and having people who want to talk, responsibly. That's my whole thing, man. Can we just be responsible about it all? Let me tell you what oh, wait a minute. What is this? Sorry, I lost the train of thought.
Sorry, I missed this one earlier, so I was trying to get it out there before I scrolled back down. So
you've heard rumblings of that, huh? All I've heard is the lawsuit thing. Like there's a possibility they could bring a lawsuit. I mean, I would hate that for Georgia, honestly, if that were to happen. Because that wouldn't be, these dudes are getting ready to play this game and then y'all aren't going to play. If you're not going to play, hopefully Coach Norvell would tell Coach Smart, listen, we're not going to play or whatever. I hope they wouldn't do that to the young men on the other side. That's all I would say about that. So again, back to what I said earlier, I will have a lot of reasons to watch this game and be excited and pay close attention. I mean, the last time Georgia played Florida State was in the Sugar Bowl way back in 2002. So, with Anquan Bolden, that's who was on that team.
Wow.
And
you just went back.
Yeah. And, Mark Richt beat his old school and all that. Like there was a lot of drama down there. Musa Smith, those boys went down there and did their thing. So it's not like we get to play Florida State all the time.
Right. I think it's a great game and people need to tune in for it. I think the players are making an emotional decision now, but not playing hurts you worse and hurts the conference worse and the team worse than going out and playing. Like go out and prove to everybody that they're wrong. Don't miss the opportunity. So
that's the thing. I mean, I'm old enough now. I think you've told me, Herb, but I can't remember how old you are, but I'm old enough now to where man, you only have so many chances in life to do something really cool, right? And if you have a shot to go do something really cool, be the person that says yes. And if it doesn't work out, you're going to be wiser for it. And if it does work out, you'll be like, why did I ever think about not saying yes? Go and do the thing. So that would be my advice to any of these people.
I agree 1,000%. Let's get a positive in here real quick. We're missing Raj, so we don't have Raj's top 5 list. So, Randy, I'm going to spring one on you.
Okay.
Give me your top 5 favorite players from this year's Georgia team.
Okay. So, and this is top 5 favorite. So,
yes, doesn't have to be the 5 best, doesn't have to be statistical. Just your 5 favorite, either watching play or have done something else off, just whatever. Your criteria.
Yeah. The problem here is obviously narrowing it to 5. So
that's why I asked the tough questions here, Randy.
Yeah, I know. So I'll start at number 1 because I think that's going to be easier. And it's kind of a layup, but I'm going to have to say number 19. Everybody's All-American because he's earned it. So Brock Bowers has to be number 1. Just
favorite
because
of the program here too. Agreed.
Yeah. Just because of his work ethic and just everything about the young man. So he has to be number 1.
Can I ask you, I don't know if this will go over. Do you think he rushed back a little too early?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I can have an opinion on that. I mean, I would trust that he and his parents made that choice.
Right.
The one thing that I've heard a lot of people say is that it's the coach's job to hold them out and not let them play. But Brock is a grown man who understands the financial things that are in the future.
And he's a competitor. So it's
exactly. Yeah. So I can't say whether it doesn't matter if I think he came back earlier. I do because he's had such a rough time with it over the last couple of weeks. I do wonder, I hope that it's simply, soreness and stiffness and whatever it is, right? And that's what it is. Exactly. Right. And they told him that it's not anything serious.
Right.
But I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, we all saw him play. So, but I would feel really bad to say, I think he came back early because everything I've ever said about that injury, I've said he shouldn't play unless he's 100% healthy.
Agreed.
But again, he was a grown man in conference or in council with his advisors, his family, and all those things. We make choices in this life. So who am I to second guess his choices, right? Yeah. So I know
I want him to be well so Rogers Dolphins can get him. So that's
I know. Well, I can't say no because I'm not in the room. I have 100% faith that Ron Corson and Kirby Smart did not rush him back. Right. I feel absolutely confident in saying that.
I feel like if it came from him for sure. I don't feel like the coaches would have done that at all.
They asked him after his return, did he know about Tua and did he feel the pressure to beat Tua's time limit about coming back? And he kind of smirked and looked sideways and he was like, that is not exactly why I did it, but I knew he did it fast and I knew I had a chance to play in this game. Right. So that was him, right? Like, so I don't know. Again, I just, if that's what you tell me, what am I supposed to believe? Just call you a liar? I don't know. It's hard for me to do.
Right.
Okay. So, Brock was number 1. Number 2 to watch off of this team. I really enjoy watching Tyke Smith, because at the beginning of the year, I didn't give him the credit I should have. I felt like he wasn't big enough to handle the role of the star position the way he wound up handling it, being as physical as he was at the point of attack and things like that. So over the course of the year, I really enjoyed watching him play this year. And that made me, I was impressed by him, and it just added enjoyment to my season. So the third player would probably be SVP, the center, Cedric Van Pran, simply because that dude is an amazing dude, period. Just full stop. But he's also an all SEC center. He's a finalist for the Remington. He's an outstanding player. SVP would be number 3.
We might need to borrow him for our playoff game. Just saying.
Oh wow.
I'm just saying I love Seth, but like the snaps are killing me at times. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Hopefully he's not watching tonight.
that showed up in the game.
Yes. It's like the worst moments.
I really enjoyed watching Ladd McConkey because he plays so hard and he's such a small guy. And especially as much video as you watch, the way I watch it, because I go back and do so much stuff with video after the fact, you just see that dude throwing his body everywhere. Not this year, he was hurt, but when I was looking at stuff from last year and then the games he played in this year, you can see it. He's still just downfield blocking and doing all the things without the ball that a person his size, you're taking a chance out there with those big bodies. So I enjoyed watching Ladd, and he always seemed to be money. So Ladd would be number 4. And number 5, I really enjoyed watching Michael Williams play for Georgia this year, because even though his sack numbers didn't flash the way they did last year, and he had a good year, but they just didn't seem as flashy. He was a better player in every facet of the game this year, playing the run, holding his position, all that kind of stuff. You mentioned earlier about regrets, though, or whatever I might feel bad about from the game Saturday.
Right.
One of the things that, if I were going to give you an X's and O thing, I feel bad about is that watching him play against Proctor, he chose to go more bull and power rush game than speed. And I felt like, because going into the game, I was calling for the young guys on the edge to bring the speed, not so much the power.
Which is what has killed him all year.
Yeah. And he went more power than speed, and he wasn't that effective in the way that I was hoping he would be in the game. But
you're not going to bully Proctor, but you're going to get around him. And that's been the thing all year.
And so those would be my 5 on the spot there. So
I like it. I knew I could spring that on you and still get good answers. So Caps, I know he gave me a couple things. Yep. If you ever want me on there, sure, you can hit me up on Twitter or on YouTube. Message. Where was I at on there?
Did I miss something?
No, Caps is a guy who just jumped in. I was trying to get through to the end because I wanted to ask you a couple more of questions, and then I lost where he actually did. Oh, a guest on the First String podcast. Well, yep, definitely hit me up if you ever want to. Where are we at?
And just for the record, obviously we had our gremlins off the top, so you've got me as long as you need me. So don't worry about that.
I figured you didn't give me like the signal, so I figured we were good for a little bit there.
No, we're
FSU's defense will get gassed. Yeah, I just feel like Georgia's a better team. I like the breakdown, and I like to say, but I feel like what the line came out, you're already like 13, 14 point favorites. Like, especially
I think that's right.
I think especially this iteration of Florida State without an offense, I think it's just going to be bad for them. You know, Georgia has improved so much on offense that I think they'll be able to break it down eventually. And let's be honest, like, I know we're not talking that much about the game, but you had mentioned, I said this at the beginning, Raj and I were considering doing a live broadcast, but we also had the twins, and he was like, let's not do one in case we have, you have crying babies in the background. I don't know if you've ever had a situation where you had to do the silent celebrations, but there was a lot of. But my personal thought also, and I said this, I already admitted this earlier, was I didn't want to do a live stream of a game that I was terrified of. And after the first drive, I was like, I don't think I have enough alcohol in the house to get me through this game. So
I am not a superstitious person. I was in my youth as a player. I'm not anymore. And it's so funny you say that, because it wasn't until after the game that I realized that there were so many things that I had done that day and that week that were just not what I have done for the last 2 years. Not intentionally, not in any way. I'm like, as a matter of fact, I have 2 shirts that look exactly the same, and I happen to wear the other one on Saturday than the one that and the whole day I'm sitting there going, yeah, this is my shirt. It's all good. This is my game day attire.
Sure,
right. And so, but it turned out it was the other one. It was the older one, and I had been wearing the newer one. So I'm not a superstitious person. But there's just,
it does ring in your mind.
Yeah. But like my shirt somehow did something to the guys lifting or running or what
we know it doesn't, but yeah. Randy, when I watch a game, I keep all of my Alabama stuff. Like, I have a drawer for it, a bunch of my stuff and t-shirts, hey, whatever. I take it to the living room and I get it ready in the table off there, and I change clothes whenever I feel like it's time to make a change. Like, I changed in the middle of Georgia game. So yeah, I'm not superstitious. It shouldn't affect it, but then here I go still. So that was early on in that game. That was a little craziness. So
it's our lizard brain. It's the brain. Yes. That's what it is. It's all our lizard brain. That's what it is.
So Brian was finishing off his point. Florida State deserved to get the opportunity, and he was going to look that up and send it to us on Twitter as far as the possible boycott. And there's Oklahoma waiting to jump in. I would certainly watch another Oklahoma. Now, Dylan Gabriel wouldn't be playing in it, so that would make lessen it a little bit. So
that's Oregon, right? He's out to Oregon.
He's an Oklahoma guy.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying Gabriel is going to Oregon.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I don't think it's officially signed, but that's like where the crystal ball goes, and that's where he took his visit and everything. So yes, he's off to Oregon. Yep.
Gotcha.
And outside of Oregon, OU has the best 2-loss team. Yeah. I'm just disappointed in Oklahoma for the way they played after Texas. It's like they thought that was their Super Bowl. And I mean, we would have watched the Texas-Oklahoma rematch versus whatever that was against Oklahoma State. So,
yeah.
And by the way, Brian, this was our feeling at the beginning of the year too as well. Brock Bowers. I've always said nothing but love for Brock Bowers. So, Rex echoes that. Brock, he would have been one I followed more if he wasn't at Georgia, but I just thought he was amazing. I knew they were always talking about Heisman at the beginning of the year. I was like, he plays tight end. He's never going to get it. But is there never a guy that deserved it? Like and they always talk about Heisman moments. I thought the Auburn game where the offense was kind of stuck in the mud. I don't think Beck was as developed as he is at the end of the year. And they at one point just decided, Brock, we're throwing you the ball every pass play. We don't care who's around. We just need to make you a play. And Brock said, all right, got you. Yeah. And that was the moment. And I think everyone overlooks it because of what Auburn was this year and how that game was, which I don't think people understand. Their defense was still excellent, and playing at Auburn is always tough. But I thought that was his moment. I was like, are you guys watching this? They all know what this next play is, and it's still happening. So,
yeah.
Anyway, there's my Brock Bowers plug.
That's why I call him everybody's All-American. What are you going to point to and ding that dude? Like, you're just not. And here's the crazy thing. He was a 2020 recruit, right? So when he committed, we were right in the middle of COVID and everything. And it's just funny in retrospect to look back at his like commitment announcement and that sort of thing. And just at the time, nobody thought about it. It just was not on the radar as being some sort of landscape shifting sort of commitment. And then he goes on to do what he's done. I mean, that's where those stories are the best. You know, he was not some 5-star dude and everybody knew about it. He was some guy from across the country that was a solid player. You know, that's the way Georgia looked at it. A solid player. He's going to be, you know, a good player in the SEC. And before he ever stepped on the field against Clemson, everybody knew that cat was different, you know, and that's just great. It's just great. It's great for him. It's great for his family. It's just great.
I agree. I don't get this one. How many times do you get to play SC before you declare? Just want to be in. I guess that was. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, Brock Bowers wanting to be in the game. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. And like I said, I think he's a warrior, and I think he wanted to be out on the field. Him and Ladd both. So, and I more meant, I guess, the games before, but they did hold him out against Georgia Tech. So, and Randy, you know, he did kind of cover that. So, see, Randy, other people agree with me about stealing your center for a game. So,
well, SVP was another one of those dudes that the minute he committed out of Louisiana, out of the New Orleans area, I was like, that guy is a difference maker. He's one of those guys because he had a reputation for being a really good leader and a stand-up guy. And then he was also a 4 or 5-star player, whatever he was. You could watch the film and see that guy is a difference maker. And then, you know, when he took over, he just flourished, you know, his leadership skills and all those sorts of things. So recruiting matters, in case we didn't know.
Yes, slightly. Cap saying good night. Cap's posted about his friend. I didn't know if it's something I should post, but just a friend that had biopsy surgery. So Caps, we hope your friend is doing well and recovering for sure. And like I said, you can always hit either one of us up on Twitter if you're looking for guests or whatever you're looking for, man. You can always. OU's a 2.5-point dog. He's here for it.
Who are they playing? I don't even know who they're playing. I
haven't fully. So we're gonna, you know, we haven't even really gone into our bowl stuff yet, and our bowl special will be down the road. So honestly, I can't. Outside of the top 4, I can't really tell you who they're playing. I'm sure he'll post that yet. So Kat said, same routine, start playing bad, turned off, and Hound Herb. Yes, Kat is hilarious because she will literally, like she's saying right there, she will turn the game off and just search Twitter and ask, is it okay to watch again? Hey, ever since I stopped watching, we've scored 10 in a row. Like it is.
That sounds familiar, Herb. That sounds familiar. When I turned you on to that live stream, and you're like, dude, I'm not watching this. We suck right now. And then you know, you get off and then they come back and win against Auburn.
Oh, I'm like, well, Auburn, yes.
I'm like, he knows what he's doing. Like, so there you go. I was just trying to like, you know, throw something out there, but
it was great, but the situation did not help. So
seeing the end though, I don't know if you ever went back and watched the end of that thing, and the person who was putting on that live, it's peak. It's just peak what you would imagine an Alabama fan to be like in that moment. And I say that because of the success the program has had. You know, you guys are really, really comfortable being proud of your team and doing great things, right? So literally seconds before the final snap, you know, it was just like negative 100 on what his outlook of everything was. And then the play happened.
He flopped back in his seat like this and like,
Auburn,
you know, and that was the feeling for most of us. There are certain teams that I can accept. You know, if we lost to Georgia on top, like we lost to Georgia. Okay, I can accept that. I'm not happy, but I can accept that. But losing to Auburn is just a different kind of hurt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's the thing. And then of course the play happens, and immediately I knew it all along. There's that quick. And I'm like, come on, man. Come
Yeah.
on, man.
Yeah. I did go back
So,
and watch his reaction, by the way, because I
yeah.
had because you did turn me on to the live free. So I did go back and watch. Like I said, he slumped back and he's like, oh yeah, yeah. And I'm like, no, man.
Okay.
No.
Now listen. We've talked about this before. You give us a hard time about picking against Alabama or Alabama hate or whatever. I've told you guys 100 times, I don't hate Alabama. I respect Alabama, and I respect your coach, and I respect the whole deal. No issues. Now we were sitting here watching the game, and Mrs. Beast, huge football fan, today is our 25th anniversary, by the way. So shout out to Mrs. Beast. So she's letting me jump on here on our anniversary.
Man. And now I feel bad.
No, I'm
thankful that you're here.
We were both busy today, and so hopefully we'll get to do something the next couple of days. But it's one of those things where she's sitting right here with me watching the game, and literally, because there was like a timeout or something before the play, there was for some reason there was a moment there of pause, right?
So let me just tell you something I didn't realize. We had 3 timeouts going into that, right? So at first I'm thinking at worst, we'll call timeouts. They're going to punt. I mean, it's a Hail Mary, of course, but at least we'll get the ball back with something. Because they called the penalty on us. They were going to do the 10-second runoff, and we called a timeout to save that. I didn't find that out till maybe the next day, right? Maybe 2 days later watching something. I had no idea live. So
now that you're saying that, I remember them saying it on the broadcast, right?
Right.
So, but that's why we had.
Are all coming in.
Oh, well, thanks, y'all. So we were sitting here talking about it. I'm working the game. I'm working, and
thank you, everybody. Appreciate y'all.
She's watching the game, and she leaned over here. Now, Alabama hate we don't have. Auburn hate, I think you're also pretty clear, is high in this household. Like it matches Florida levels for her, right? Florida's my team. She feels that way about Auburn. We're sitting here watching the game. We have that pause. She leaned over here. She did it like imagine your best buddy, like the best buddy you've ever had in your life, and you're sitting on the couch, and they lean over and they're like, they punch you on the arm, and they're like, watch this. She leaned over here and she's like waving her hand at me to get my attention because I'm working, and I turn and look, and the play's about to happen, and she's like, there is plenty of time for Auburn to still mess around and fuck this up, and I was like, no. And sure enough, they snapped the ball, and then she looked dead in my eyes. She goes, what'd I tell you? And I'm like,
she called it.
I'm like, the hate that you have for Auburn is something that I appreciate very, very much about that young lady. Yes. So there's
much love. All right, let's catch up, and then I'm gonna give you, I think, the 5 or maybe the 3 questions of death before we go. Arizona is who they're playing. Both Arizonas jumped out, or both Oklahoma guys jumped out there. Yeah, very fun team. I can't believe they're dogs though. I don't know if that was before or after the Gabriel news. I guess my gut would say Oklahoma just to start. So Cap says good night several times, but then he came back to give you your congrats, and then he asked a football question. Do Commanders still have a top 5 overall draft? I believe so, but I haven't done. I'm on a football show tomorrow morning. I haven't done all my work yet. So on that, and then there was one funny one I thought in here. The Alpha doesn't turn off the game; she just cusses a lot more. So I feel that. I think
it happens.
Out of all the Alabama games, the only one that I turned off completely and did other stuff was the last Clemson game that we lost in the playoffs, because it was just so. I knew at halftime it was over because we didn't try to score before half. We took 3 timeouts and plenty of time and just said, forget it, we're going in. That's when I really knew it was over. We were at my parents' house. My brother started helping mom take down decorations for the second half. So that's how bad it was. The Georgia TCU game, we didn't turn off. Everyone just started talking about other stuff. Like at one point we're around the table and some people have their back to the TV. That's how bad that was. So
I'll tell you what, man, there's a whole spring to think about. I don't know why what you just said made me think about the 12-team thing, but there's a whole spring out here where I'm going to spend a lot of time thinking about the 12 team and what I think that means for my team. I don't know why that triggered this thought process right here. And I don't know why I'm saying it out loud. This could all just be kept in my head. But yeah, the what that's going to mean, maybe it was the TCU bit, because like obviously we're going to have all the teams that anybody could possibly make an argument for going to be playing for this thing next year. And I'm just very interested, because when you put portal and NIL and multiple playoff games, all that stuff into the blender, like there's just no telling, who's going to be in that 12. Like it is wild.
Yeah. What I don't like about it is there's going to be certain teams that are rewarded for not going to their conference championship game at all, sitting out an extra game. And if you're like, let's say Georgia, you're not going to get a first round bye now. You're going to have to play in the first round against a team that maybe sat that out. Yeah. Should you be much better than them? Yeah. But I mean, Ole Miss would be in that range, right? Of, hey, I played out my regular season. I sat at home during this, and now I'm going to get a Georgia team that maybe got beat up in a game too as well.
I absolutely get that. But I side with Coach Smart here because and as an Alabama person, I guess my question would be the same to you, which is to win this conference is something different and special. And if you get a chance to go do that, you're playing for a ring, you're playing for a number on a wall, you're playing for historical bragging rights. So I think it matters.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying I don't like the fact that somebody didn't get there at all and has one less game is all of a sudden in the playoff with a shot at that. No, I would much rather.
Right.
I would have gone with the 6. Yeah, definitely not trade. I would, if my team has a chance at it. Oh no. If they came to me and said, "Hey, we're guaranteed the playoffs. Do you want to play in the SEC championship game or not?" I'm saying, how is that even a question? Like, you want that on your resume for us. So.
And here's something you may or may not have thought about, but there are people who now with the 12-team playoff have already started pitching, which means it's in somebody's ear somewhere that the idea of opt-outs is going to be even greater moving forward, even earlier moving forward. So I think that there's going to be some things that happen around that none of us can foresee right now. And I think it's going to shock some people when those things do start to happen. I had someone ask me today, why does the Orange Bowl matter if everybody's going to opt out? And I said, well, and the way they phrased it made it sound like now they can opt out because it's bowl season. And I'm like, no, they can opt out at any point. They can opt out after week 2 if they choose. There's nothing that says you have to wait to the bowl game. So the idea of whether or not somebody's going to opt in or not is a little ridiculous to me, honestly, because if you're worried about getting hurt, then do what the Ohio State did, the guy did last year. Just be like, week 2, I'm done. And, he kind of strung everybody along. He was done. And, just treat it that way. That's all. There is no stipulation that says you have to wait till the postseason to opt out of anything. I mean, it's, do you want to play or do you not?
Yeah. Given how limited football is, I'd opt to play. I mean, you never know when the last game is going to be anyway. So it could happen in the preseason after you get drafted, or it could happen in your last bowl. Like, play. So good night, ma'am. Thank you again for chiming in. We appreciate you for sure. Cap says he's I'm sorry, that was actually the Cap, so that wasn't to us. Good night, Cap. Cap,
for real.
The Commanders are somewhere around 6 to 10, depending on. There's several teams that are have one less game than them, I think. So I think that's still to be sorted out. So I agree with Kat. Also, nothing like a confetti party. But everybody wants to win. So Kat also says she likes her strategy so far. And then that was after the Gabriel news when the line changed. So that makes a lot more sense. All right, Randy, I got a couple questions for you to close out before we go. Let's say the SEC was guaranteed a spot. It's still 14 playoff for the next 3 years. and the SEC is guaranteed a spot for the next 3 years because we've collusion, whatever.
Sure.
You have to pick a team to get that permanent spot for the next 3 years, and you can't take Georgia or Alabama. Who gets your vote?
So I'm clear. Guaranteed for 3 seasons.
Guaranteed for the next 3 seasons that they will be in the playoff.
Under the new format. I mean,
under the old format. Under the 4-team format. Still the 4-team.
I mean, in the SEC with no divisions moving forward.
Correct.
Okay.
But no Oklahoma or Texas in this vote either, though. So just the current SEC.
Okay.
So somehow we're freezing time and moving forward like that.
Bits and pieces.
Yes.
Well, are you asking me who I think it will be or who I would make it be?
Who would you make it be? Both in terms of who could you stand to see in there, but also might be successful. Because I know Auburn's not getting this vote. So
okay. Okay. Then I'm going to say I would put South Carolina in there.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not see that one coming.
Were you expecting Arkansas or maybe LSU? Ole Miss. I mean, again, that's why I wanted to clarify who do I think it's going to be or who would I enjoy seeing, right? And I say South Carolina because they have 0 history of championships, right? So if you like that, you see how I flipped it around? So they have 0 history. So if they were to be that team that was going to be on the national stage for 3 seasons, the amount of gusto and fire and energy that came with that team, I think we could all survive listening to for 3 years, but it would put a big old boost into the whole thing. It'd make it a lot more fun.
The ultimate. I don't know if you watch what is my guy with the SEC roll call, but the Beamer ball with the sunglasses.
Matt, Matt's my I say he's my buddy. He's not. I don't want to mislead anybody. Matt, he follows me, but he follows me from my Christmas stuff. Matt he's a big Christmas guy as well. And I reached out to him, I don't know, a couple of years ago and told him what I was doing. And he was like, yeah, man, that's awesome. So we have a relationship around the Christmas stuff.
And not the football side.
Not the football stuff. But I always watch his football stuff, because that's funny. And he, but he was very gracious and he was a good guy. And he's had a whole bunch of success since our conversation. If I were to reach out to him now, I don't know that he would
say anything.
Yeah, that he would come back, Mr.
I would hope so, man, because I like him.
Bush's beans, or whatever he is these days.
Yeah.
But he does good work. My kids love his stuff when it comes to the ranking videos. They love to do that. They sit here and go, ooh, like the whatever, especially when it's kids' foods, and they enjoy those. So
by the way, Matt. Rex imagine Vanderbilt in the postseason.
Man, I'm concerned about Vanderbilt. Clark Lee has to have like the most steadfast, ironclad resolve. And I don't know, because the beatdowns are brutal. Like I know it's small and incremental, but they are doing things up there to improve their situation. Right. And yet for the last 2 years, they haven't been good, and his best players just keep leaving,
Which
and
is
you're
the first thing that happened this year.
Right. And you're like, how am I supposed to get good? If my best players keep leaving. One of them's probably about to be a Georgia Bulldog, maybe 2 of them, and so how do you keep pushing the rock up that hill? But meanwhile, Vanderbilt's just sitting back there going, research institution, keep giving us SEC monies. We're going to keep doing that side of it, and they're wonderful on the baseball diamond, occasionally pretty good on the basketball court. Vandy brings stuff to the conference. I'm not saying they don't, but we all know that on the football field, it's hard to see how they're going to be, competitive.
I agree.
So,
all right, let me get to these. This will be, I don't know if this will be an interesting one or not. Work, play, live. One of these people you got to work with, one of these people you got to play with, and one of these people you got to live next door to. All right. This is a weird Georgia edition. Okay.
Weird Georgia.
Yes. Julia Roberts.
Wait a minute. Wait. I got to stop you right there. Are you going to rehash the ones that you gave Raj recently?
Did I give him Julia Roberts?
I think so, because I watched that episode and that rings a bell.
Maybe it was right before. Yeah, I mean, you might be right. I don't know. I know this next person wasn't in it.
Okay, fair enough.
Kanye West and Kim Basinger.
Weird Georgia edition. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so
Julia Roberts was in it. The other two weren't. I remember that now.
There you go. What's her tie? Kennesaw State? Is that right? Something about Kennesaw State?
I think so. I just looked up people from Georgia when I was doing the list, and I was like, there were some other younger people in there, but I was like, I don't want us to make us look perverted. So I was like,
all right. So Julia Roberts, Kanye West, and
Kim Basinger.
Okay. Work, play, live. I have to, and this is so boring. I apologize in advance. I would have to work with Kanye West, because I don't think I could handle much of him and if we go to work, then I can just send him to do his thing, pass him in the break room and go do my thing, and we'd be done. So me and him, that would be fine. Let's see. Let me live next to Julia Roberts, because just like every movie she's ever been in, the all-American girl that everybody likes. So why wouldn't she be fun to live next door to? Right. So Julia Roberts. And then that means I'm going out with Kim Basinger, which is cool because like she dated Batman. and she dated Batman. And so that would be cool. I'd probably get to go and do cool things and see cool things.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the biggest perk.
There you go.
All right, let me give you one more then, but with the quarterback edition.
Okay.
Matthew Stafford. Beck or Bennett.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm gonna get a twofer here. I think I'm gonna get lucky.
Okay.
I'm gonna work with Stetson Bennett.
Okay.
Kind of for the same reasons that maybe I work with Kanye. Doesn't mean I don't like him. It just means that I don't know that our personalities would jive. Right. Like, he's just what I'm not. Right. Like he seems to be a bit of a trash talker, kind of in your, and that's fine, but that's just not who I am really. So we'd probably work together. And you said Beck and Stafford. So I would, I would live next door to Carson Beck, and we'd sort that out over our 20-year mortgages. We'd figure out how much we got along. Or if he's smart like I am, 15-year mortgages. So we'd sort that out. I'd get to know him over that period. We'd sort it out. But he looks like he's fine, a good time guy, fine. And then that means I'm going to go out with Matt Stafford, and I get the twofer because Matt Stafford today would jive very, very well with Randy today, like with what we'd want to do, go out and have a nice dinner, whatever. We both enjoy our families. That would work out. And so we wouldn't be doing anything too stupid. But I know enough about Matt when he was at Georgia to know that he knows how to have a good time. So I feel like
young and old Matt Stafford.
If we decided to cut loose and go have a good time, I'm confident we could go have a good time. Okay. So there you go.
We're gonna slide in an outside question. Yeah.
Boring.
I like the answers though. Was this a fluke year for Missouri?
No. And it's going to be hard. Well, okay. I don't know. What's your benchmark for fluke? Top 10, New Year's 6. Is that you're saying, are they going to be a contender every year for those things? I think, I mean, we don't have divisions anymore. So Missouri's going to become a more tough out than people are used to. And I think,
good to see you, Mike. Thank you.
I think that the way we've talked a little about NIL, And the way Missouri, without federal guardrails, the way Missouri is using NIL is beneficial to Missouri right now. And that the ability for players to earn while they're still in high school and things like that, right? The way they have it set up.
Right.
So Luther Burden was the test case about how to go all in for this 5-star difference maker guy. That seems to have worked out pretty well for them. So this year they did it with Williams and Wannery, the number 1 defensive end, same kind of thing. They're hoping he hits for them. But the philosophy of that defense and the way they play, Eli Drinkwitz, when he has pieces, he's proven that they can be a productive offensive team. I just think that consistently, look through it through the lens of divisions, Missouri has moved themselves to the position where, especially given what's going on at Florida, they are absolutely in the argument for that number 2 slot in what is the East,
Right.
Yeah, going forward, they would be there because Kentucky year after year underwhelms. Florida's got to find a way to right the ship. South Carolina, like I said, they just bleed through the portal. Seems like they lose everybody every year. Right. So I think Missouri has put themselves in a position to be that team that is going to be competitive across the conference. Gotcha. And then once you get beyond that, they're just like everybody else. Do we have a good year? Injuries, so on and so forth.
Gotcha. All right. I don't know. You did mention comics somewhere in there, so I think I'm going to stick with this question. Let's say Kirby is gone next year, and you have to replace him and your OC and your DC. Who would you pick to replace them from? But they all have to be superheroes.
Superheroes. Lordy. Okay. Well, this is fun, but you're going to have to walk with me because I got to walk myself because I'm going to forget some superheroes. I'm certain that I'm going to leave some people on the table. Right. So, okay. My head coach, let's start there, would have to be, man, this is tricky because I'm really only very well versed in the DC universe.
That's fine. You can stick to DC. I like it.
Okay. I'm going to
know which universe you to lock it down to. So that's why I didn't give you one. So if we're going straight DC, I'm down with that.
See, well, I don't want to pigeonhole myself either because I know a few. I know a few from the other side. But I'll tell you who I love, and you got to ride with me here. But I love Captain Marvel,
right?
Because the way and I'm not like I don't have great depth on her character, okay, because she's not in what I paid to. But what I know of her is she's badass, got a nice little attitude, and she's gonna mess up, kind of like Dan Lanning this year at Oregon, making choices. But at the end of the day, she's gonna push the envelope and get out there, and she's got the big goal. So I would say let me have Captain Marvel as my head coach. Okay. Let me have Batman as my defensive coordinator.
And you already have a vote for Batman as your head coach, by the way.
Yeah. The reason I didn't go for head coach is because he's a little bit too crazy to be a head coach. And I say that as the biggest Batman fan you're ever going to, I love me some Batman. But brothers cracked, that's why he is who he is. And so that's why I want him as my defensive coordinator, right? I want that dude who's going to headbutt the guy and bleed his forehead. That's Batman, but he's going to have 100 contingencies. He's going to game plan like crazy. Just give him some tools, like on his tool belt, give him some players, and he's going to shut you down. So I'm on Batman as my defensive coordinator. My offensive coordinator, let me go with, see, I need the perfect mix here of size and speed. So if I have a lifeline, feel free to throw one out there. But I'm going to go with
here's one of your people,
Tony Starks. Okay, Tony. See now there. Okay, I can see that one for sure. I was going to go with Flash,
right?
Because
somebody who can come up with everything quickly.
Yeah, exactly. So you can adjust in game, and the philosophy is going to be an upbeat sort of thing. So Tony Stark is a good one. That's really good. If there was one I was going to switch out, that might be it. But I'll just stand them all.
You also have a Superman vote in there, but you're going to go with, you said Flash was your OC, Batman is your DC, and you're giving Captain Marvel control of the thing.
Yep, so. She's my head coach. because
And I don't know if you saw
she's
this, the Doom movie, but that's a perfect example why Batman would have be a DC.
the new one, the new animated film, the Doom that came to Gotham. Is that what they're referring
No,
to?
I think. Well, actually, I don't know which one he's talking about because I don't know if he's talking about the one where he betrays the Justice League. I guess where they get all his plans. That's what I thought he was talking about. I remember reading
that's
that
right.
comic book. Yeah.
Yep,
So that's what I thought he was talking about.
I've watched that one too. So if we could get clarification from the back row, that'd be great because the new movie, The Doom That Came to Gotham, is an entertaining film. I mean, it's an H.P. Lovecraft, Elseworld. I'm big on the Elseworld and the Black Label stuff.
So he was talking about the one I was talking when they got all of his contingency. So yes.
Gotcha. So, see, and same thing. But the new one actually is pretty good too.
Also, I'll have to catch up.
This is a great question. I'm gonna have to carry this forward and like share with everyone my choices because this is good.
I like it. By the way, Kat wants somebody on the sideline, but for a totally different reason.
Listen, okay, so now, well, no, that's fine.
Thanks.
To me, you're never going to top Henry Cavill as Superman. With that said, you know they're casting a new Superman and Lois, and I couldn't tell you their names for anything. That's not what I'm good at. But I love the casting for Lois. So if you don't know, Google it. She's great. I mean, like great. I think it was the lady who did the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh my goodness! Right, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
that lady. They've cast her as the new Lois. I think that's going to be amazing. And I cannot remember who the Superman guy is. I've never been a huge Superman fan. Clearly, I'm a Batman
I don't feel
guy,
like Kat is either. Kat is just a Henry. She just wants to see some shirtless action on there. So,
well, you know.
And Rex agrees with you, so that. And Kat and Lady Alpha are having a conversation about him on the sideway. The word "yummy" has been used. So. All right, last question, and we're gonna let you get out of here. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the word or the best, just totally missed. How much did you miss Raj tonight?
Oh my gosh. Okay, you know what? I'm going to give him just a little bit of a vote, a little bit of a benefit of the doubt here because I understand why he's not here. Okay, so being a father, I understand. With that said, 10 being I missed him the most.
Yes,
I would say that I would peg this number at about a 2 because there's some makeup here and the Batman talk and the Batman question and the Batman hat and all the IOUs that I've stacked up mentally since I've been on here a couple times before leaves Raj at a 2. So I didn't miss him that much. We've had a pretty good time tonight, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for being a great dad. So don't miss that point. Don't miss that point.
Randy, I definitely appreciate you, man. Filling in pinch. Tell everybody where to see you, where we got you this week.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you can see the handle. Adadam Beast is going to find me pretty much everywhere. I hang out. It's so weird, and I love it when people come and find me in these places because you guys are helping me craft what this is going to be moving forward. So we do how about wait a minute. Wait, I gotta do your favorite part. How about that Dogs Cast, right? We do that. That's my podcast. So that's where we're talking about the dogs and all the stuff that goes with them. So if you care for college football podcasts, that's mine. But Adadam Beast is again everywhere. And it's short and longer form video and all kinds of stuff like that. So if you care about any of that stuff, come find us. And again, if you follow me there, I often ask and let you guys sort of help me figure out what we're going to be doing as we move forward. So, do we like the mid-range kind of stuff, the 5 to 10 minute stuff? Do we like the longer stuff? Because I want to help you guys enjoy college football the way, you want to. So, I take all of this stuff just like Tony Stark and try to make a good decision. I try to get all the info. So yeah, Adadam Beast. That's where we are.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. You're not doing a pick show this week then, huh?
Actually, we will be live tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow is going to be the last pick show of the season, I believe.
Yeah, I thought you were on tomorrow, and then pick show was Thursday. You're just combining them both.
Wait,
or is it
no,
all...
what day is it? See, I don't even know what day it is. Today
is Tuesday. Yeah,
it's Tuesday. Okay, thank you. Tomorrow is the How About That Dogs cast. I'll do that tomorrow night at 7, and then we'll do the pick show on Thursday, and it'll be the last one. I told Joe when we were deciding what to do, I said, well, I don't think you can catch me with 9 bowl games. So why don't we just put a bow on it for this year and not worry about the bowl games necessarily? We'll pick the SEC games.
Right.
And you can't catch me with that. And we'll just declare a winner and wrap up the Powers Hour for this season. And see where we go. And I get to show off the trophy this week. So we're going to unveil what we've been playing for this season. So that's something to look forward to if you need a reason to check us out.
Yeah, I'll definitely check out. I'm working late both nights this week, but I will definitely be, how I do on my phone. I'll check in and I'll still do it. So Randy, I definitely appreciate you, man. Thank you always for being available and even in a pinch or with little to no notice. So I always appreciate you, man. It's always a fun time. Thank you. And thank you everybody tonight, man. We tried to address all your comments. I know I missed a couple in there, but you really helped spur on the conversation, man. So it's always appreciated. And thank you so much for being on there. So for Herb and the other guy of podcast, just keep checking out our YouTube channel, and we will be back here next week at 8 o'clock. So thank you guys. Everyone have a wonderful night. Roll Tide.